Hi, today we're going to talk about combining gold leaf with laser cutting. Hi, welcome to Gray Lightning, my video blog about making things and playing games. And many of you know that I get access to a laser cutter through my local makerspace. Well, I also take classes there, and I took a class recently on gold leaf, and I thought it was really great. So I asked Sophia, my friend, and in this case my teacher, if she would give us a tutorial on gold leaf and laser cutting. So that's what we're going to do today.
Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm a maker at Nova Labs. I've always had a passion for creating, whether that be through my artwork or through my job as a programmer. I just love the design process. And I remember when I discovered the laser cutter, it just opened this whole new world of being able to quickly prototype and all of these materials that I can work with and be able to duplicate my results. I was just immediately hooked, and it still feels like I'm just getting started. I've been trying to incorporate gold leaf into my work for a while. It just has this richness and this depth and even this delicacy to its look. And I remember trying to figure out how to get more high-level detail with the gold leaf, because that seems to be the biggest constraint when using gold leaf is you're applying glue. It's really hard to get really good detail with it. So I remember coming in and iterating on a bunch of experiments with Patrick, and we ended up coming up with this really great technique combining the laser cutter and the gold leaf. So when you're doing your gold leafing technique, you need a few materials. Today we have this wooden serving board that we're going to be using. I've also used plexiglass, I've used mylar. It really just depends on the scope of your project. Obviously you need your sheets of gold leaf. I ordered these off of Amazon. You don't have to get real gold. It actually still works with the off-brand kind of gold leaf. A little bit easier for prototyping. You can get like 100 sheets for about $6. You're going to need your gold leaf adhesive. This is the Speedball brand. It's adhesive specifically meant for gold leaf. You're going to need a brush, so make sure it's a pretty soft brush that won't damage the gold leaf. Some way to apply your glue. So I'm pretty fond of the foam brush. It helps really smooth out your surface, make sure that it's evenly distributed. And I like to use a heat gun to help speed up the glue drying process. So we buy these really big rolls of low-tack tape to apply to our surface. I actually would recommend kind of a medium tack. Sometimes the low tack, it's too low and it'll peel away from the surface a little bit. So medium tack's usually a good way to go. I also use an X-Acto knife to cut away at the tape, make sure it's a good shape around the surface and it's evenly covered. So I put the piece into the laser bed and I make sure that it's really secure with these magnets. You're going to be doing a couple of rounds of cuts, so you want to make sure that your piece is nice and secure in the bed. It's not going to move. You're not going to accidentally bump it. So we use these magnets that clamp to the laser bed and make sure that the piece is in place. Okay, so we did our first cut. It's pretty much the outline of whatever you would like to put your gold leaf on and engrave over. So you can see I just did the outline of the Angkor right here. I'm going to peel this away. And what's going to happen is I'm going to apply the gold leaf onto this bare surface, and the tape around it is going to protect the outline. So I'm just applying the glue to the surface. And you don't have to be super precise because, again, the tape is protecting the rest of the wood from getting any adhesive or any gold leaf on it. And we do keep it in the bed. This is just to make sure that after you do your outline and then you run your next job to do the engraving, there isn't any misalignment between where your outline is and where you want to make sure your engraving goes. So this is when I use the heat gun because, again, you're keeping it in the bed. It's not like you have a whole bunch of time on your hands to just sit and wait for the glue to dry. So I just use the heat gun, speed up the process just a little bit. Just a quick lessons learned for me. If you're using the heat gun for plexiglass, you want to make sure that you have some heavy objects or maybe like these magnet clamps on top of your surface before you use the heat gun, because otherwise the heat will warp the plexiglass. So I make sure to use a glove when I'm applying my gold leaf. It's really messy, it's really sticky, it tends to stick to my skin. So I just make sure that I'm wearing a glove. And then just nice and carefully, you place your gold leaf on your surface. And just try to make sure that your surface is nice and dry before you apply your gold leaf. You don't want to put your gold leaf onto wet glue. You don't want the glue to still be wet when you start laser engraving again. I've had that before, and the gold leaf will start to peel away from the surface. So again, this brand has been the best option that I've found so far. I've tried other kinds of adhesives. I've tried the spray glue. I've tried different kinds of glue like this. There's this Martha Stewart gilding adhesive. This really is the fastest drying and the most surefire way to make sure your piece turns out the best. So I have the gold leaf on the adhesive right now. I just kind of dab it, make sure that it's sticking to all of the adhesive, and then the brush is to brush away any of the excess. So again, the way gold leaf works is it only sticks to wherever you put the adhesive on. So the rest can just be brushed right off. And you do have to be a little bit gentle in this step. You know, you don't want to brush away any of the gold leaf that shouldn't be brushed away. You don't want to damage the gold leaf. Gold leaf is a little bit delicate, so just, you know, take your time. And honestly, if the first coat doesn't go well, put another coat. There's nothing keeping you from putting adhesive on top of some existing gold leaf and just putting some more gold leaf over it. Be careful when you do that though. If you have some inconsistencies in your gold leaf application, it might be a little bit inconsistent in how it looks when you engrave, because obviously there's a different depth that you're engraving through. So we have this like HVAC setup in our laser cutting room. Should be in most. It's usually used to get, you know, remains of wood or, you know, acrylic, but can also be used to vacuum up your gold leaf from the bed. All right, so our piece is ready to be engraved. All right, so for the purpose of this video, we did accelerate applying the gold leaf and not really letting the glue settle long enough. So a little bit of the gold leaf did kind of peel away from the surface, but if you want best results, I would say you can apply the heat gun and just, you know, make sure that the glue dries maybe 10 to 20 minutes longer. Patience is a virtue when it comes to this stuff. It will make a huge difference. So we have our piece, our final piece here, and now for the really satisfying part, we can peel away the tape and see our final product. So you can kind of see it peeled away just a little bit, but it still looks pretty good. Just gonna peel this away here. So there you go. It looks pretty good, and you have your gold leaf in the foreground. The shading comes from the engraving. The outline is maintained, and you have your piece. So a few more tips for after the engraving is done and maybe you want to do some touch-ups. So if you use wood or even if you use plexiglass and you have some wood burning tools, you can kind of go back and touch up any place that maybe, the shading didn't come out right, or you want to add some more definition around some of these lines. You can use the wood burning tool, and it'll still go through the gold leaf. It's a little bit messy, but I've used it plenty of times to make sure that my piece comes out optimally. So, we also have a little bit of sap buildup here at the bottom. If that happens, you can take sandpaper, sand it away. It's really easy. And the heat from the laser also causes some of this like clouding on the gold leaf. So whenever I finish my cut, I will take a paper towel, maybe some kind of absorbent material, and use some acetone and wipe off the surface, and it'll actually give you a good, clean, vibrant look on the gold leaf. So we do have an example here of a more finished piece. So this one's obviously it's bigger, got some more detail out of it that way, and we finished it with some resin. I also added in some lettering at the bottom describing what the image is. It's the Angkor Wat in Cambodia. If you don't know much about it, it's this really beautiful temple that's based out of Siem Reap in Cambodia. Another quick tip about if you're using resin over a wood engraving, make sure you seal it really well, because you will get some bubbles coming out of the engraving if you just pour resin straight on it. You can use either like a polyurethane spray, you can just do a really thin coat of resin, but make sure it's nice and sealed. I've had way too many lessons learned, lots of bubbling coming out. Make sure it's nice and sealed. So I also have this piece that I made for my friend. She just got married. So I have 3 different kinds of leaf here: silver leaf, rose gold, and gold. So again, I ordered that off of Amazon, but this is on a black plexiglass. The plexiglass, as you can see, it comes out really nice. I mean, a lot of this negative space is engraved, and same technique, just did the outline, applied the leaf, and then did the engraving over it. And then this is also finished with resin. I am working on some designs right now. A lot of them will have the gold leafing technique with them. Most of them will be laser cut of some form and my designs. So lots of different functional pieces that I will hopefully be putting up onto an Etsy store.
I've seen Sophia's work in person. It's really gorgeous. And when her Etsy store goes live, I'm going to put the link in the description of this video. And I'm so excited about gold leaf. I'm going to use it in my very next project, which is a card box for Magic the Gathering.